Hey friends, welcome to this brand new part. We are looking at part 48. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. This channel is dedicated to help you clear certifications majorly along cloud platform Google Cloud, AWS, and Azure. Let's jump into the questions. So this is a very much a real life scenario. We usually have VMs and we put services on those VMs. And now you want to make sure that if the data center fails, you need to ensure that the services are still available. Now, as a part of your virtual machine deployment strategy, what will you use out of these four? So always remember that availability zone is the right answer. So whenever you want to make it foolproof and of a failure of a data center, then you should deploy that on various availability zones. AZs come with their own data centers. So if one data center fails in an AZ, you can still have the service running from another AZ. But what about availability sets? These are scale up and scale down solutions. For example, if there today you have 100 people accessing your application, but tomorrow if you have 100k people, and day after tomorrow you got 1 million people, so then the VMs, one or two VMs will not be able to suffice because they will not be able to entertain so many people. So what you need is a plethora of VMs, maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, and it has to be scaled up on the fly. That is why availability sets are used. Let's look at proximity placement groups. See, what is the use case of proximity placement group is that you want, suppose various services talking to each other, and you want lowest latency. That means it should be able to talk to each other fast. So suppose if you have a brother and a sister and you want them to talk to each other fast, like small toddlers, and they want to talk to each other, will you place them in two different rooms? No, right? So you would not place them in two different AZs. You would want to place them in a single AZ. Now a single AZ, that means a single apartment. And single AZ can also have multiple data centers, and there can still be problems with latency. These two data centers may be in two different locations. So in an apartment, there can be 5 bedrooms and drawing room, kitchen, bathrooms, and etc. So now what you want to do is make sure that these guys are exactly in one room and talk to each other. So that is what placement groups does. It keeps them as close as possible so that they can talk to each other. So if you keep them as close as possible in a particular data center, or even the hardware, so if a failure occurs, both are gone. So data center failure, this is totally contradictory. Proximity placement is going to negate. You need to spread. Suppose you have one apartment and you want to make sure that if earthquake comes, you should have a backup available. So you can buy one more apartment, but will you buy an apartment just in the same building? No, boss, right? That is not how you should do it. You should buy it like 50 kilometers or 50 miles away from, or 100 miles away. Uh, that way, if earthquake comes, chances of both apartments going down is less. Let's look at host groups. Why host groups are wrong? So host groups, you know what? They put the VMs on the same hardware. It is not the same AZ, same data center, but even the hardware is same. So if you have three VMs, all three VMs will be on the same hardware. So if that hardware fails, forget about data center failure. Even if the hardware fails, your application goes down. That is why host groups is wrong. So this is my answer. So let us look at the next question. Now in this question, you should look at one thing. See what is required. They are telling you ensure. Whenever you see ensure that administrators can only create resources in those regions. Okay. Ensure means there is something to do with policy. Ensure that only in these regions it can be created. You all saw FIFA World Cup in Qatar, right? So what they do is the security staff ensures that people or the crowd should only go through these pathways. It is similar to this. They should not be able to go in another pathway. Even if they go, there should be some automation like the swipe card will not be available, so the rooms will not open, the important rooms, and so on. So something to do with policing, you create a policy, and that's why in this case, Azure policy is useful because it will enforce your organizational standards. Okay, and if you want compliance, this will help you with that. It will also show compliance dashboard, like it you want to see, obviously you would want to see, right, that are we complying to all the requirements. So one dashboard will be there, you can just open that and see which ones are not complying, which ones are complying, and so on. So this would be my answer. Okay, because you want to restrict something, so something should happen only in uh, certain regions, not in other regions. Now you might ask, what about read only log? See, if we have something really important stored in Azure, we put read only log so that people can view it, they cannot delete it or they cannot overwrite it. Like suppose you have a contract document put there, so you don't want people to update or delete it, they can view it. So does this question tell you that some important document should not be deleted? Nothing of that sort. So where does read log come into play? Now let us look at management group. Management group, it is above in terms of hierarchy, it is above uh, subscriptions. It is a logical entity. You want to manage group of subscriptions, you can create management group. Does the question tell you that you have to manage subscriptions, group of subscriptions? No, right? So C is wrong. Now D is telling about reservation. Now you might ask that, hey, in India we already have reservations, right? We are doing a great job with reserving people. We are ensuring that talent is not important. So that is not the only thing that we consider. We also consider other stuff. So in cloud world also you have reservations, boss, but a different kind of. So now there can be both advantages and disadvantages of each policy. Even reservation has its own pros and cons, and it is debatable. But whatever the majority wants, that should be implemented. Probably that is the direction in which India is going. But let us look at reservation in this case. So in this case, reservation is like you have to do a block booking, right? You sign an agreement, that 1 year or 3 year agreement, and you say, hey, you know what? I am ready to pay you X amount of dollars, and I am reserving 100 VMs. Okay, so that way, why do we reserve? Any idea why do we reserve? So we reserve because we want uninterrupted service first of all. So that doesn't mean that on-demand instances will not give you uninterrupted service. It will give you. The second main reason is cost savings. You can save more than 50% of cost with reservations. So in the cloud world, Azure reservation or VM reservation is a great thing. But in this question, nobody is asking about cost saving, right? They are not asking about that. They are asking about a certain policy to be implemented. So D is wrong, but option B is the correct answer, Azure policy. Now this is a very basic question. They are asking what an Azure region contains. Okay, so first one says, hey, you know what? It contains data centers, one or more data centers, and data connected by low latency network. So that is correct, right? Some data centers which are connected with networks. Let us choose this as our answer, but let us also scan other options to see if there is a better answer. So immediately one keyword, I find it very amusing here, high latency network. Who in the world wants high latency network? High latency means low performance. That means you are opening Netflix and it will keep on buffering, buffering, buffering. Who wants that? No one, right? So we will straight away mark it wrong. Now this one, it says can be found in every country in Europe and Americas, which is wrong because not all countries of Europe and Americas will have this. So I know, like, you might get confused. So initially, when I was an amateur in the cloud world, I thought, hey, you know what? These are probably most of the countries are developed countries. So this can be true that they may have in all of these countries, but that is not the case. And this one says is found in each country where Microsoft has a office. So I was also confused with this option earlier, and then I thought, hey, like if Microsoft has a marketing office, that might mean it also has a data center. So that is wrong. Microsoft has subsidiary office or marketing offices in a lot of places, but that does not mean it will have a data center also there. So this is wrong. Now this is my final answer. Now if you have not yet subscribed, probably you can find a better day. Astrologically, you can connect with some pundits and find a better day. So this channel is totally dedicated to help you clear cloud certifications, majorly GCP, AWS, and Azure. And you have an option to click the join button below this video, which will give you membership. There is a small premium you have to pay and become a member, and you can unload or unlock loads and loads of important question sets. So folks, stay tuned. This was the end of part 48. We will see you in the next part.